All right, folks, welcome back. We're going to, no, it's too loud to install the Magpul trigger guard. So what we're gonna do is get to the next step. Let's get to the fun stuff here. We're gonna install the optic on the and not just any optic, Holosun arrow, made in my country. Where does that say made in Malaysia? I could have swore I just saw that the other day. Anyway, Holosun arrow. So I guess this is probably an unboxing video as well of the Holosun arrow. So let's just call it that. I can make this into separate videos. The other one would be GBRS optic installation or whatever. So yeah, it comes nice plastic box. I did get this off Primary Arms. Highly recommend them. They are based out of Houston, Texas. And I got this for a better price. I think it was about $120. I'll tell you in a second. And Amazon had it more expensive. Palmetto State Armory had it more expensive as well. Again, I'll tell you guys. So the Streamlight was, hold on. Holosun. This was yeah, I was right. $120, shipping and tax $137, right? So pretty decent price. Pretty decent price. On my son's AR-16-inch AR-15, there was a different version that was around similarly priced, but this I believe was not even made then. Now we set his rifle up, I want to say around maybe a couple of years ago, or was it last year? I believe it was a couple of years ago. And I'll actually show you a quick photo of the old. Yeah, there we go. Be sure to follow us on ACB group _ by the way, on Instagram. So this is, you can see that. I also didn't like the white text of the old Holosun. So I definitely do like whoever's idea it was to make the text black. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. So that's what it comes with. I think we could use better lighting. There we go. Here's what it comes with. All right, welcome back again. Had to change the battery. Anyways, Holosun comes in the black text. I really like that. Have your little scope cover here, right? Just looks really nice. Looks really nice. Like it, and for the price, can't beat that. I personally cannot afford a. If it were up to me, I would get a Aimpoint T2 or a real EOTech for about, what do they run now? $400 to $400, something like that. It does include a Torx wrench, which is nice. All right, so and let's talk about actually batteries. I do believe this too right here is the windage and elevation. How do you change the battery on here? Good question. I wonder if it's on the bottom, but it can be. Anyway, let's go ahead and turn it on. All right. Okay, I just turned it on and you can see there is a dot there. So no complaints. So how do we turn it off? Do we press both of them? Yep, that's how it works. So I'm not going to worry about changing the battery or how to change the battery as of yet. I probably won't have to worry about that for another, I don't know, 1 or 2 years, right? So let's talk about what else comes in the box. This is a mount where you could take this off and mount it directly on a mount. I assume you would do that if you were mounting this directly to a carrying handle, or if you want a super low optic. I'm not sure what this is. We also included another wrench right here. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave all this stuff alone. I probably may only need the Torx wrench. Nice little microfiber there. I'm just gonna put all this stuff back. In case I sell it, which I probably won't. It's great optic, and I'm not gonna be able to afford a EOTech tomorrow or whatever. So this is, I can definitely appreciate how this is on an Aimpoint T2 footprint, which is great for the GBRS mount. And yeah, let's get to that. So this is the GBRS group Hydra, right? It does have my old PEC 15 on there, and we should probably take that off. Okay. Again, what I appreciate about the GBRS Hydra is that the pass-through goes underneath the elevated laser portion of the mount, which is great. I will show you the Unity riser with the HRF skiff. You can see how the cable does not go through, and now it's on the side. Okay, another point of failure is this bolt right here, which I think on my son's rifle, what happened was it came loose while we were at the range. Now, I'm not sure if that happened before or after we accidentally ran over the rifle with a Ford Explorer. So, but just that's another thing to keep in mind. That's already two disadvantages of the Unity plus the HRF skiff mount. Not only does the cable do not pass through, but you have another point of failure, which is this bolt right here, which the whole thing could come loose. Actually, I can think of a third reason. This is above 2.26 optic height, and the GBRS mount is, I believe, a 2.91, right? So with the GBRS Hydra, you also get an elevated optic primarily for usage with night vision, or if you just prefer that high optic, right? So while I'm installing parts on my AR-15 pistol, I realized that I've never really talked about my airsoft gun, and I just want to get into that super quick before I rip this apart and steal some parts to install on my real AR-15 pistol by Palmetto State Armory. Some kind of a replica optic red dot. I think it might be G&G. Unity riser, which the HRF skiff mount, all replicas, of course. I think this might be an FMA NGAL, NGAL, right? Have it hooked up to the pressure pad right here on a pressure pad Picatinny's holder, which is nice. This is a switch for the Surefire light, which is somewhere around here, plugs into with this cable right here. And you know, this classic GWatt style grit, great for doing your Chris Costa C-clamp, right? But if I don't want to accidentally press it, I suppose I would do this, right? Just point your thumb at who you want to shoot. Magpul style rail cover, M-LOK rail covers, QD mount. I don't know why it wasn't built in, but that's fine. That's pretty much it. stock is your, what is it, a B5 or something? Ambi safety. I think this is too long. There's a magazine release, a bolt release here, which is nice, but has no functional use in airsoft. But I would love that feature on a, on my real AR-15 one day. Not a huge priority. And yeah, that's about it. That's my airsoft rifle. Now let's get back to installing parts on the AR-15 pistol. All right, let's go ahead and install the Holosun on the GBRS optic. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is remove these torque screws. The Holosun did provide a tool for this. There's one. There's two. There's three. All right, we switched to iPhone because the camera died. What camera am I using? For you camera people out there, Canon M50, yeah. I would prefer a ZV-E10 APS-C Sony mirrorless, but that's for the future. Anyways, let's get back to the optic installation here. So we are gonna install the Holosun Arrow red dot sight on the GBRS Hydra. So let's see how it looks like. Ooh, I think that will look very nice, very nice. So first thing we want to do is get your proper Torx wrench. I do have a few here. Looks like the smallest one will do. Okay, so one challenge with this is that you do have to remove this if you do want to install it, because there's no way to do a proper pass-through. So I'll be back. All right, I'm back. So pretty much how you need to remove these screws here is with a hex key. This is too big. Looks like it's a 1/8. Yep, 1/8. Nope, not 1/8. 7/64. There we go. So now you have your, actually there is still no pass-through, but it will make things easier. It will make things easier. Slowly but surely, guys, slowly but surely. We'll be back once I install all 4 of these. All right, welcome back. I fastened all of these down. Now the only thing left is to tighten them fully. So at this point, it's going to be easier to do this way. You know what? Let me lower the phone real quick. All right, welcome back. So I lowered the phone. I can see this much better on the phone. I might even just record everything with the phone from now on. We'll see. Anyways, at this point, I'm just gonna make sure everything's tight. Does seem pretty tight. All right, there it is. Looking nice. So the next thing we want to do is install the, I'm going to take this NGAL off my airsoft gun. Damn, I really screwed that on tight. It's on. Disconnect the pressure switch. Quick difference between NGAL and a PAC-15. Check out that size difference. And we'll probably put this on the airsoft gun now. But you gotta love how nice and small that NGAL is. NGAL. How do you say it? I think it's NGAL. So, first of all, is there even a battery in this? Yeah, and there is. Pretty nice. This is both the flashlight and the visible laser. Wow, I didn't know it strobed. That's interesting. Where's the laser? I should not have looked at that in my eye. There you go. There's the laser. There we go. Let's just put it on here. We don't want it too far back. We don't want it too far forward. I think that's just right. Nice and tight. All right. I don't know what this is for. Yeah, whatever. All right, there we go. This is what is going on my AR-15 pistol. So let's go ahead and put it on there. So let's see what we need. We need all these screws right here. Gotta take a sip of coffee. All right. Where do we want this? So y'all know it usually is supposed to be above the mag well. On the other hand, something tells me this should be right above the receiver, and this should not go past the barrel, the receiver. I don't know. It just seems right, I think, as opposed to this. Yeah, let's go with that for now. Oops. Damn. Did this not even go through? Which one did I use? Nope. Much easier. All right, something's not right. Well, it is going in the hole, which is a good thing. So. You know what? I think I got it the wrong way. Yeah. I think I got it the wrong way. I'll be back. All right, we're back. So I just pretty much reversed the screws, and you will see that this side has a little bit more of a space for the screws to fully screw in. So that was my mistake right there. Let's make sure this is nice and tight. Yep. And just to make sure I'm not using too small of a, yeah, the bigger one will not go through. So this must be the right size. Yep. Seems pretty solid. Wide shot, anybody? There we go. Looks pretty nice. Of course, I'll have to shoulder it, see how that feels. But we will probably be moving on to our next items that we'll be installing. All right, next thing we're going to install is the pressure switch. Now I do have the pressure switch already. I'll show you guys what it looks like. I have this metal Picatinny pressure switch holder. If you guys know of any plastic or better mounts, I'm always looking to reduce weight. Metal is not my first preference, depending on what it is. But then again, you know, it's not very heavy. So I think I want this right before the flashlight pressure switch, but I don't know where that's going to be unless, one second. So again, I have to resort to looking how I had it set up on the airsoft, and I do believe this is the same amount, same size rails. So you know what, I think we're going to have to install this and then the pressure switch. You know what, I changed my mind. I think I'm just going to stick to installing the pressure switch because I want that continuity of video, because I do want to make these separate videos and I want to combine these videos into one huge video about building this gun. So I think this over here should be fine. So how this works is the pressure switch slides into here, right? And it's not going anywhere, which is nice. Just goes on top. I think that's a good place. And then these screws go in. Then this one goes on the back. This is where a vise would come in super handy, but I don't have one. And if you don't know what that is, it's the thing that grips the magazine, like does a magazine clamp while you install your rifle. Yeah, so then it just screws in with these two hex screws. Yep, that's good. Then this is going to do, this is the great thing about the Hydra. It does the pass through right here, right? See that? And it goes right here. So I even had to zip tie the last one. This one I feel, well, I probably still could zip tie it somehow. I just don't know where I would put it. Definitely not worried about that yet. I'm going to clean everything up at some point, but right now this is a function test. Yeah, works. So yeah, there you have it. Installation of, oh wait, let's turn it off, shall we? Installation of the GBRS Hydra mount with the NGAL and the laser pressure switch.